Storm now on BBC Two. This World reports on the Headmaster enforcing the controversial headscarf ban and its effect on his staff and students. In northern Paris, one headmaster is gearing up for a fight.
I don't want to recognise any pupil's religious persuasion in my school. That's it.
So next year, will I be allowed to sit my exams if teachers say my bandana looks religious? I may even be forced to leave school.
The French Parliament has passed a controversial law banning the Islamic headscarf and all other religious symbols from state schools. As civil servants, head teachers must uphold the law.
Religion must remain a personal matter.
France, en fait, veut nous dévoiler pour voiler ses problèmes, tout simplement. C'est tout ce que je veux dire.
This is the story of one school, its headmaster, and a group of Muslim schoolgirls who found themselves at the centre of a political storm.
Two windows. Now here. No veiled girls, no bandanas, no skull caps. That's fine. That suits me.
Ça me convient. Il y a quand même une grosse médiatisation sur ce...
There's a lot of media attention on this issue, and a lot of tension in the Islamic community, which feels targeted, but it's actually applicable to all religions.
Alors qu'en fait, ça s'adresse à toutes les religions.
Raymond Sieur is the headmaster of Eugène Delacroix School in Drancy, a working-class suburb northeast of Paris with a big North African population. There are many Muslims amongst the 2,000 students here. 10 are veiled, and those 10 girls may be expelled when the ban on religious symbols comes into effect next term.
If you have to choose between your education and your religion, which would you choose?
That's a very good question, and I really don't know. I can't distinguish between the two, because for me, education is part of religion. I know my parents would advise me to take my veil off, but personally, I don't know. I don't know if I would have the courage to do it.
Pour moi, ce que ça représente, le foulard? Ben, pour moi, c'est une façon de...
What does the veil mean to me?
Partie de ma nudité.
It's part of me.
C'est pas qu'un bout de
It's
tissu
not just some bit of fabric on my head. It's everything. Looking back on it, I don't know. I couldn't imagine taking it off.
Je n'imagine pas le retirer, en fait. Je sais que le minimum...
What I'm wearing today I consider to be the minimum. If I was asked to take it off, I would feel like I was being put naked in front of millions of people.
Every year, French feminists and their supporters take to the streets to celebrate International Women's Day. For the marchers, support of women's rights means rejecting religious oppression. And here in France, where secularism is a pillar of the Republic, religion has been kept out of public life for 200 years. But last year, the Women's Day march was joined by Muslims and their supporters protesting against the ban on religious symbols in schools.
Young girls are being expelled from school because they're wearing a headscarf. We support those girls. We support women all over the world.
The arguments raged for hours.
It's shameful, shameful. Well, I've tried to argue with them. We mustn't argue with them. It's a scandal to treat your wife like that.
Look who they're surrounded by. These bearded men.
These Muslim girls, including some from Delacroix School, consider themselves part of modern France.
We can still be feminist and wear the veil. It doesn't mean we're submissive. It's a personal choice.
That's right. We've come to demonstrate for women's equality in France. That's it. France wants to deveil us to veil its problems. It's as simple as that. That's all I have to say. I'm here to support women. I'm a woman after all. A French woman and a citizen. That's why I'm here.
Turia is 20 years old. She started wearing the veil 4 years ago. But at school, she's already opted for what the French call a bandana.
I'm on my way to a meeting between some teachers and veiled students, and some who aren't veiled but who feel concerned by the law which is being passed. I heard on the news yesterday that this law will forbid everything, including bandanas, etc. So I hope that at least in our school we can manage to find some kind of compromise. There are a number of us who wear the veil, and I know that some will leave school if the law passes in this way.
A small band of teachers has rallied around the girls in their battle to remain at school. They are hoping they can influence the headmaster to interpret the new rules loosely. In a private flat near the school, the veiled girls and their supporters discuss how they can win some kind of compromise. Pierre Thévagnon is a philosophy teacher. He wants to gauge how much support the girls feel they have at school.
Is there not one teacher you can count on?
To be honest, I don't think so.
Is there nobody supporting you in your class?
Yes, there are 2 people, but they don't do much. They're not bothered. I mean, they don't wear it.
Then there's my teacher, and he was taking us on a school trip. And before we left, he said there was to be no drinking and warned us about any religious stuff. Because I don't want people to think we're mad. He says stuff like that sometimes.
What about your class in general?
My class doesn't care either way. To begin with, they asked me why I wear it. But since then, they've dropped it.
I just want to say, it's hard enough on all of you as it is. You mustn't have guilty consciences. If it becomes too difficult to fight this battle, and you decide to take it off in order to stay on at school and wear it later, don't think that you're disappointing the others. It's already hard enough as it is. To me, it's a just cause, with a huge amount at stake. We're talking about the education of 17-year-old girls who want to stay on at school. It's rather by accident that I've become immersed in this battle, which, after all, isn't mine. I'm not Muslim, I'm not religious, but I am a teacher. I'm a teacher and I have pupils.
But as far as teachers are concerned, Pierre is in the minority. Most, led by the teachers' unions, don't want to see veils in their classes.
What bothers me most is that it's a symbol of a woman who hides part of her body so as not to attract men. I find that unbearable. And even if it is her choice, well, I think it's an alienating choice, and we can't accept this symbol in schools.
Laetitia and colleagues meet to discuss how the new law will be enforced. As supporters of secularism, they believe that French schools have a duty to help girls withstand religious pressure. Teacher Eric Fino says some Muslim girls cover up to avoid family disapproval and unwelcome attention from boys.
There are girls who wear tracksuits to hide their figure. Why do so many girls at the school always wear tracksuits?
Most teenagers have trouble accepting their bodies.
Yes, but when they do, they are much more uninhibited with their dress. You get exposed navels, breasts like this, and big cleavages. We've got loads of girls like that.
Yes, but you must admit there are loads in tracksuits. Sagier told me it was to avoid trouble on the estates. That really struck me. In any case, I agree with you about the veil. You put it very well.
Students generally have trouble accepting their bodies. Most of us have been through it. There's that aspect. I get annoyed at teachers who criticise G-strings. I find it so prudish. I think it's good when the girls manage to wear sexy clothes. I feel good about it when pupils can do that.
People say that it's the women who wear the veil that are submissive, but I think that it's those women who are submissive, because it's what men want, women half naked, fully naked, and they give it to them. They give men what they want. For me, that's what submission is.
I used to go to the mosque every Friday with my mother. I was interested. In fact, I thought the veil was really pretty. I wanted to wear it. For me, it was just a style of dress. Then after a while, when it was explained that it was to preserve oneself, I didn't want to take it off.
I don't know how to express it. I can't find the words to explain how beautiful it is. Because I'm doing it for God, not for a person. It's really for God. I find that beautiful.
I was very interested in religion. I wasn't wearing the veil. It was when I came back from holiday in Algeria in 2003. I saw my cousins praying. They talked to me about Islam, who God was, why they believed in God, why they chose this religion and not another. They explained it to me. After that, I believed. I saw the evidence before believing, of course, and as soon as I believed, I got really into it.
There's a hair showing. It's like, what do they say? One hair showing is a sin, or something like that.
Merci, monsieur.
With protests mounting from the Muslim community, the Ministry of Education has convened headmasters to brief them on the new law. It is not just about head coverings.
But beyond the straightforward wearing of symbols, this law also states that religious conviction does not give a pupil the right to object to the teaching they receive. By that we include young girls who don't want to go to PE because it goes against whatever, young people who challenge historical reality or a certain moment in our history or civilization. That too is prohibited.
But the headmasters still have no clear instructions from the government about whether the law will ban all head coverings.
If the head cover ban is implemented, they'll have to come wearing nothing on their heads. If it isn't, they can come wearing a little decorative bandana. A little fashionable bandana with flowers or whatever. That wouldn't bother me at all. Including in corridors and classes. Let's not even get into colours. If it's green, it's Islamic. There's no end to it.
On the estate near school, the veiled girls have gathered for another meeting. Pierre is hoping there are loopholes in the wording of the latest government circular that will allow the girls to wear a bandana next term.
The bandana itself doesn't demonstrate a religious affiliation. The bandana is discreet. Except the problem is, it says a skull cap is indiscreet, and a bandana is bigger than a skull cap. So, yes.
For Turia, next term will be crucial. She will sit her school leaving exam. Without that, she will never fulfill her ambition of being a nursery school teacher.
I have a question. If the compromise of the bandana doesn't work, what will you do?
I think I'd change school. I'd go to a school where nobody knows me. On the one hand, I'll say I have to carry on because there's my exam at the end. On the other hand, I'll get to the gate and it'll be so unbearable that I'll turn back.
Meanwhile, at school, the differences between staff have led to broken friendships. Some believe it is their duty as civil servants to help girls resist cultural pressure to be veiled.
Last year I had the case of a young girl who didn't want to wear the veil, and she said to me very clearly, if the veil's accepted at school, I won't be able to carry on lying to my parents. They tell me I've got to wear it and I tell them it's banned at school. We've passed an exam and we've committed ourselves to respect certain laws and certain values of the Republic and to promote them in our classes.
Noël Dupuis believes the law is yet another way France discriminates against its North African population.
You cannot, in schools today, even just among ourselves, like as teachers, question the fact that our educational system might be, in a way, racist. And yes, I lost a friend because she said, my concern is for the girls who are threatened by their parents and don't want to wear the veil. We mustn't allow veils in school because of that. But then, are you ready to sacrifice the girls who want to wear the veil at school just to supposedly save the others? And she said, yes, absolutely, without the shadow of a doubt. I said, could you repeat this, please? Are you ready to sacrifice these girls? And she said again, yes, without the shadow of a doubt. And I said, well, we're not doing the same job then.
It's really painful. I can try and talk about it, but it really hurts. Noël was a real friend. I know it's nothing to do with you, but it really hurts. We built things in school together. Noël was a real mate. I spent loads of time at her place. I looked after her kid. Now I don't see him. They've cut themselves off from everybody. It's horrible. These are people whose political opinions I share. How can they treat others with such contempt? They end up defending the veil of all things. That's it. I'll calm down.
As part of her school leaving exam, Turia is doing work experience at a nursery school. But her bandana is causing trouble with colleagues. She's worried she may be told to leave.
I'm fed up with it. At school, at work, everywhere you go you get people bothering you. You put up with it. But you get to the point where you've had enough. We're not robots.
Is this about your work experience? Come on, Turia. Don't crack now.
We're only at the beginning.
All they see is the headscarf. They're fixated on their headscarf and that's it. They said that it wasn't good, it's not allowed, that it was dangerous. I said, why dangerous? I've done one day's work with the kids. They didn't stop hugging me and giving me kisses. The kids really liked me. So she said, yes, but the teachers say you shouldn't wear a headscarf in front of the children. They're going to know you're a Muslim. But they're 4 years old. How are they going to know that?
The meetings are attracting a mixed group. Some won't be filmed, believing the Quran forbids images. One convert has already left school because of the law.
Usually it's with your fingers, in a big pot. I love eating with my fingers. It tastes better.
Once they've eaten, there's work to be done to prepare for a school meeting about the law. It's their one chance to persuade the headmaster to accept the bandana next term. But being a veiled pupil in France means pressure from two sides. Khadija has come to collect her exam results. Her Algerian father wants her to complete her education at all costs.
Twice or 3 times a year we meet the parents. And the first time we had these meetings, her father came. And he walked into the room and he said, it's nice and clean here. Well, I'm pleased to see the place. And I said, well, yes, it's important, you know, your daughter spends a lot of time here. And maybe it's interesting to see where she spends her days. And he said, yes, well, it's a lot better than where I work because, well, obviously, he showed me his hand and he said, I'm glad my daughter is here because if she becomes an engineer, she won't have the same hands as mine. And they want to expel that girl, while the father has obviously nothing against public schools and that he's very proud his daughter is at school.
My father didn't have access to an education, so now he wants his daughter to succeed. I have an opportunity that he wanted so badly, so I mustn't let it go. Not for the sake of a law against the veil. That's not going to stop me. It's a hurdle I have to overcome.
I come from a family which unfortunately doesn't really accept the wearing of the veil in the first place. And if I left school, well, for a start, I can't give up school. In Islam, education is an obligation. I have to learn. I could, of course, keep the veil on and study outside school, but I don't think I could go through with it, so I would take it off, because if I didn't, my parents, even my brothers, wouldn't let me keep it on.
It's the day of the public meeting at school. Everyone has been invited to air their views on the law against religious symbols. Raymond Sieur knows he's in a very difficult position.
A few pupils. Shall we go?
The ministry has told him the way he applies the law is up to him, but his teachers are bitterly divided, and he feels unhappy at the prospect of expelling girls.
It's an end-of-year climate, a combination of fatigue, exhaustion and weariness. And it's still a serious atmosphere because there are exams to invigilate and correct. This law on secularism has kept us all rather occupied and soured relations between certain teachers. Most of them are just tired of hearing about it.
It's at this meeting with staff and parents that the girls must try to win a compromise. What's at stake is the bandana. Will the headmaster allow it in his school next term? If he doesn't, the girls may face expulsion.
The bandana, the thingamajig, whatever you want to call it. I've had enough of hearing about it, and I'm not going on holiday with that on my mind. And anyway, the bandana, the festive bandana, the bandana with religious connotations, the bandana because you haven't had time to do your hair. I have a master's in history. I'm not a beautician. I know nothing about this. What I see is that pupils come to school and I don't want to recognize their religious persuasion. It bothers me, and I say that as a citizen, not as a headmaster. Religion is irrelevant, whether it be Christian, Jewish, Muslim. I don't want to recognize any pupil's religious persuasion in my school. That's it, full stop.
C'est tout. Point. Je tiens à dire que pendant toute l'année, les profs ont dialogué entre eux.
I'd like to say that all year long the teachers have been discussing this issue amongst themselves. And it's a pity that pupils haven't been allowed to take part in this dialogue, which means that the teachers haven't bothered to get to know the pupils and have judged them just on their appearance.
juste en les voyant.
Monsieur Finot.
I'd like to speak to the pupils in particular, especially the veiled girls. You have the right to wear the veil. Others have the right not to wear it. But at school, all we're asking is for you to take it off. It's not such a big deal. Outside school, you can do whatever you want. But at school, that's what the law is about. Now, why do we want to do this? Because we all have pupils who bear the burden of religion. We have pupils who are forced into marriage. But you know just as well as I do. There are 70,000 women in France who are forced into marriage every year. Excuse me, I didn't say it was your fault. I'm just saying it's a reality. It's these girls we're concerned about. These girls we can try to protect at school. We just want to say to them, at least here you can talk to us.
I just want to refer to what he's just said about forced marriages. First of all, Islam condemns forced marriages, even if some people do it. You must not put everyone in the same basket. That's wrong.
I quoted the case of an Iranian woman called Shado Javan, who protested against the veil with all her heart because she'd been forced to wear it by the Iranian state and had no choice. She had her veil over her mouth and a safety pin through it. I waited my turn. Let me finish. So you twisted my words. Shado Javan said that presenting yourself to the world in this way is limiting yourself to being an object in the eyes of others, and that echoes the appalling situation of prostitutes. You went around telling everyone I called you all prostitutes. One of you even called me a prostitute. That is humiliation.
We've been talking about crosses, skull caps, so-called Islamic headscarves, but what about the Sikhs? Sikhs wear turbans, which are prescribed by their religion. What happens to them?
They're going to wear a piece of material, a little hairnet.
To me, that's a piece of fabric, in the same way as mine is. I don't see how that's different.
The headmaster informs the meeting that he is going to allow the bandana in school next term, but only on condition that it is not identifiably religious. It's going to be down to teachers and him to judge each case. The veiled girls are sceptical.
So then you're giving more authority to the teachers to point fingers?
On the contrary, it will allow you to be more anonymous and therefore will curtail certain teachers who, according to you, sometimes humiliate you because you'll be wearing your bandana and will be treated equally. That's what secularism is all about.
We've been told to go off and enjoy our holiday, but I haven't been able to relax all term. Next year, will I be able to graduate if teachers say my bandana is conspicuous? And I might have to leave school as a result. Sorry. I'm upset. I'm really shocked. I can't even speak.
Merci.
With that, school is out, but no one is really sure what to expect next term. But schools are not the only place in France where veils are an issue. Lala and Khadija want to find summer jobs in town. Last year, Lala married a fellow Malian at the age of 18. She takes her religion very seriously.
So you lied about your age? You can tell fibs, but only up to a point.
Lala's ambition is to qualify as a nurse, but both she and Khadija are resigned to the reality of modern France.
Basically, to get a job, you have to be ideal.
You have to have a good body.
That's right, the physical and then the skills. But even without skills, they prefer certain physical appearance, preferably a blonde.
Work experience is a compulsory part of the school leaving exam. Lala wanted to test the reaction to her veil as she looked for a job.
Bonjour, est-ce que je pourrais voir le responsable pour voir... vendredi, mademoiselle. Vendredi. Et il sera possible que je dépose un CV, une candidature. Par contre, est-ce qu'il y aurait besoin d'une photo ou pas? Comment? D'une photo. Ouais, c'est mieux. D'une photo. Et la photo, elle sera pour... ce serait sans le voile. Vous croyez? Enfin, je pense ça posera problème.
On the 14th of July, the French celebrate their revolution against the monarchy. It led to the total separation of church and state in all aspects of public life. Secularism became almost a religion in itself, and to be French meant you accepted it. But Republican values are now being challenged. In the suburbs, where most of France's 5 million Muslim immigrants live, Bastille Day has less meaning.
It's the 14th of July today. It's a public holiday. Here it's traditional for young people to set off firecrackers on the 14th of July.
Rooper is a rapper who lives on this estate in southern Paris. He's become an idol of a large number of French youth, including the girls from Delacroix School.
Pourquoi vous faites péter des pétards? Hein? Et alors, c'est quoi? C'est la fête des pétards.
Il y avait eu une bataille, je crois.
La prise de la Bastille?
Ouais.
Et ça, tu l'as appris à l'école, ça?
We don't feel we fit into all of this. Human rights are really important to us, and the fact they're being trampled on, while at the same time they do all this masquerade and ceremonies and parades, it's taking the piss. They think we're good for nothing.
We look down on...
Gangrene of the nation.
France's estates have become ghettos, where unemployment typically reaches 60%. Some say they're a sign of France's failure to integrate its immigrants. Ibtisam grew up on one.
When you live in an estate, you're protected. If, for example, someone harasses me on the street, all I have to do is tell my people on the estate, and everyone will defend me and go and speak to them. But I'm worried that it does make for closed communities, and people don't accept that. They're scared of anything different.
French opinion about Muslims is informed by cases like that of Sohan Benzian, aged 18. She was burnt alive by her boyfriend's rival next to these dustbins. Some locals blame the attack on her lack of Muslim modesty. It's not clear why Sohan died, but her murder has become a cause célèbre for supporters of the new law. They believe the growing popularity of the veil is due to creeping Islamic fundamentalism in the suburbs. Supporters of a feminist group called Neither Whore Nor Submissive gather in central Paris to commemorate Sohan's death.
Sohan was burnt alive simply because she wanted to be a young woman, a free woman, and some thug on the estate wouldn't tolerate it. We keep hearing about more and more violence towards women, so let's not forget about this violence on the estates, which is born of sexism exacerbated by a rise in Muslim fundamentalism, which all too often imprisons women into submission and purdah.
Dans la soumission et le voile de la pudeur.
It's 1 week before the start of the new school term, and something happens that changes everything.
Dans l'actualité de ce dimanche, la prise en otage confirmée de 2 journalistes français par des extrémistes irakiens. Un groupe islamiste proche d'Al-Qaïda menace de les exécuter si Paris ne retire pas dans les 2 jours sa loi sur le voile islamique.
At the mosque near the school, the imam expresses solidarity with the government and condemns this act of foreign terrorism perpetrated on behalf of French Muslims.
Those who have kidnapped our brothers Christian Chesneau and Georges Malbruno, it's God, it's Allah who gave them life, and no one has the right to take it away from them. The issue of the veil in France doesn't concern anyone else but us.
The hostage crisis forces together both sides of the veil conflict to condemn the terrorist ultimatum.
Déjà qu'on s'est assez souvent agressé.
We've already fought so much over the headscarf issue. I hope the situation doesn't escalate, because people are going to say that these people only know one thing: violence. No. Today we're here to prove that that's not true.
Aujourd'hui, on est là pour prouver que non.
We're here to say that we don't support this.
You have to say to these people they're not Muslims. They're portraying Islam.
We're not going to run after them saying you're not Muslims.
It's not for us to say they're not Muslims. We're human beings. God created us. It's not for us to judge. Only God can judge.
So 2 journalists are going to be killed for a bit of fabric. It's unbelievable.
So why do you think I'm here? I could have stayed at home, sitting around, doing nothing.
Don't send your children to school wearing the veil.
We're getting nowhere with this. I'm here for the same reason as everyone else.
It's not your fault. Chirac's an idiot.
The countdown to school has begun. Khadija is resigned to wearing a bandana and asks her sister to help choose one.
You're going to help me. You're going to advise me, because you know what girls in your school wear. I don't pay much attention to these things. That one's not big enough. This one's not going to hide everything.
The crisis is deepening. France's Muslim leaders are sending delegates to Iraq to negotiate the release of the hostages. In return, the Interior Minister pays his respects at the Paris mosque, hoping this will kill off attempts to resist the ban on veils when school starts.
France, our country, faces a challenge. The unity you are demonstrating is our greatest asset at this time.
The hostage crisis requires Muslims to put on a brave face, but it's taking its toll. Khadija has just learned that one of her new teachers is stridently anti-veil.
What are you going to wear tomorrow? Have you thought about it?
I have thought about it, but now I'm not. I feel all mixed up. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. 1 minute I'm revising, now... Sorry.
It's a shame we're not going back to school together.
Yes, it would be great if we were all in the same class.
Yes, they could have kicked us out all at the same time. Listen, here's my advice. Tomorrow you come with a bandana. Don't wear dark colours, wear light colours. Don't wear a tunic so you don't provoke them. Even if to you it's not a provocation, don't wear a tunic.
I know.
Walk in there with your head held high. Go and chat to your friends as if nothing was going on.
I don't know anyone in my class.
Don't know anyone? Well, it doesn't matter. You go straight to the hall like everybody else.
d'élèves.
12 million pupils return to school today, the day on which the new law on secularism banning conspicuous religious symbols in schools comes into force. The law is at the heart of the hostage crisis in Iraq, where 2 French journalists are being held captive. The last ultimatum of the kidnappers expired last night.
Let's see what happens today. It's the first day of term and 2,000 pupils will be returning.
History teacher Eric Fino is hoping the hostage crisis will undermine any opposition to the law at school.
It certainly led to Muslim fundamentalist organisations in France keeping a lower profile. The same ones who advised the girls to force the issue with the veil are now advising them to take it off. So in that sense, it has had an impact.
Quick, hurry up. Okay, when I get to that bus stop over there, I'm going to take my veil off.
The girls are nervous. They have to take their veils off before they walk through the school gate, where they know they will be inspected. Some have asked us not to film them in their bandanas.
I'm
a bit anxious because as headmaster I always need to foresee all scenarios. And the worst case scenario would be that girls refuse to abide by the law. I'm a bit frightened of that, because it's always very upsetting to have to expel young girls from school. Pierrette, look outside. There's one girl completely covered up.
Alors deux choses. Il y a une loi qui a été votée.
Two things. A law has been passed.
Yes, I was going to take it off.
Yes, but I want to see the ears and I want to see the forehead. The rest is perfect. The law cannot be discussed. You are making efforts, but I want it up there and the ears.
What difference does it make?
The difference is, that's what I want. Otherwise it looks like a religious symbol. We no longer want religious symbols. We're not going to discuss your religion. That's your problem. But I want you to make an effort. Then I will totally respect you. But for it to be accepted as a bandana, you have to push it up and show your ears. And that will be the end of it. Do it now, please, straight away. Good morning. Now that's okay. But what's going on with your outfit?
He shows no respect. As soon as we walk in, he's like, psst, and he's pointing us out. So he looks me up and down and says, oh yes, go on then. So basically every morning I'll get there and go through the detector. Yes, that's okay. No, that's not okay. The colour. Yes, no. The clothes. Yes, no.
A conspicuous symbol. Look, I'm a Muslim. Nobody can tell, okay? Well, if it's a dress, go on then, scram. Hey, come here, handsome. You look like a caricature. That's better. So if you raise it a little, it'll be fine. And show your ears. Are we agreed? You'll hear better for a start. Hands in pockets. Take your hands out of your pockets. I was just about to make a mistake with the Sikh. I think we're going to have trouble with the Sikhs when the others see that.
Lala arrives, dreading the moment she has to remove her veil. But it is her friend Fatoumata who encounters a problem.
Aren't you listening to me? You are not abiding by the law. I want more than that. I want to see the whole forehead.
You didn't say that to me.
Pirette, did I not say that I wanted to see the forehead and the ears?
Yes, you did.
We are very well behaved. We don't make any trouble. We're never late. We don't bunk off. We're model students. But he won't admit that. His goal is to make us crack. He wants us to be rude and insolent, answer back to have an excuse. But as we're smarter than him, we keep our composure. If he wants to insult me, fine. It doesn't matter.
What about the shawl? It could be dangerous.
They should take it off, of course. Apply the law, but do it tactfully. So for now, it's all going smoothly. Okay. Have a good day. That was the Secret Service. Everyone's scared. Police cars have been outside the school permanently for the last 3 days.
The French authorities fear that Islamic fundamentalists are influencing young Muslims. The veiled girls have their own fears.
It's a terrible fear. Not of the headmaster. I mean, I know he's not going to eat me or hit me or anything. It's a fear of God. Not of school, nor the pressure, but of God. It's really hard to take it off.
It's tricky with Lala. We need to be careful with Lala. I wonder if she's being manipulated.
How do you feel about showing your ears?
Well, it's just too much. It's unthinkable. When he said the thing about the ears, I thought, for a start, that's just stupid. And anyway, it's impossible for me to do.
I'm thinking longer term. I'm thinking of outside manipulation afterwards, which is beyond our control, by fundamentalist groups and the like.
The people who are supporting me told me others are worse off and have nothing covering their head. They said, you're not going to give up school over an air issue. I said it's true, but it's difficult.
Deputy Head, which one is it? Well, she's got to take it all off. It's Fatoumata. We're having to take her aside to re-explain the law. And she's doing it deliberately. I'm not asking her to say, "Sir, you're right," with a big smile on her face. But she's got to accept the law. We're going to have trouble with this one.
Fatoumata has been summoned, but we are not invited.
Fatoumata, t'es en France.
Fatoumata, you are in France, and in France there are laws. So stop it. You're the only one. Step into line. There is a law, and this law applies to everybody.
If it applies to everybody, why is it that there are girls wearing trousers with skirts and they're not called in?
Because you're wearing black, and these are conspicuous religious symbols. I mean, just put on a light-coloured anorak. I've got no problem with that. Fatoumata, don't argue about the details.
To me, there are more than details.
Okay, now that's enough. Are you writing a letter of resignation? Do you want to leave school? Is that what you want? Do you want to leave school? It's not a problem.
Stop pushing me into a corner.
I'm only asking you a question. I haven't had a reply. I'm asking you a question.
If I wanted to leave school, I wouldn't have come.
Well then, if you want to continue with your studies, which I encourage you to do, then for goodness sake, I'll say it again, respect the law. I make the decisions because the power of the law is vested in me. I intend keeping you in school. I don't want to hear anything about me pushing you out at all.
Alors, on revient au document 1.
Meanwhile, Eric Fino has a new pupil in his history class. His reading of the new law is strict, and he decides to challenge Turia after the lesson.
To begin with, it all went well. We cracked some jokes, laughed. At the end of the lesson, he said, "Turia, your bandana. There's no way I'm accepting the bandana on your head. There's no way that you can come back into class wearing it."
I told her what I think of the veil. I think she's in touch with the fundamentalists, and she speaks too well not to be in touch with the militants. When I say well, I mean her argument is too well structured. When I went to see the headmaster, he said yes, her outfit is allowed.
He said, "You must know the extremist groups, given the way you speak. You seem so attached to your headscarf. You must frequent those groups." I said, "Why don't you just call me a terrorist whilst you're at it?" He said, "Anyway, I won't accept any veiled girls." He said, "A friend of mine in Algeria was killed because she didn't want to wear it." So I said, "You're telling me about something that's nothing to do with me. It's not my fault if your friend was killed. I know there are women fighting not to wear it, but I'm fighting to continue with my studies."
I saw two girls in the corridors with headscarves that I would not have accepted myself, but they're not my pupils. I haven't heard my colleagues talking about it either. We are overwhelmed by other problems than the problem with the veil. There is the issue of a Sikh pupil, and we'll need to talk about it with colleagues. Because if we allow a male student to keep a religious symbol, which a lot of us consider conspicuous, then what do you do about the veil?
Raymond Sieur is pleased he's avoided trouble so far.
Oui, bonsoir, bonjour.
Hello?
Il est quasiment...
It's almost 5 p.m.
Eh ben, la rentrée, elle se fait bien.
Well, it went quite well. They're going to go along with the law.
Qui vont se mettre en harmonie avec la loi.
After some fruitful discussions, and for one in particular it was rather repetitive, I'm going to end up losing my temper, and I may have to call in the family. I mean, she came in wearing, well, let's put it this way, Eskimos in winter are less covered up than her.
After 5 days back at school, the girls and their supporters meet to swap their stories.
The deputy head says to me, "Show me your ears." So I say, "They're out already." And he says, "No, show them properly." And I say, "Look, they're out." And he says, "Well, you're lucky you don't have sticky out ears." I mean, he's completely mad.
And my brother said, Ibtisam, play along with him for a week. And if he's still speaking to you like a dog, then I will go and see him and tell him what's what. I mean, they treat dogs better.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm scared.
Yeah. At some point, we have to draw the line.
Give them an inch and they'll take a mile. I'm scared of giving them that first inch.
Ça leur ferait trop plaisir.
They would be so pleased if you left. That would be perfect for them. But for you, it isn't perfect at all. They will have won. They have already had a small victory with the law.
Ils ont déjà gagné un peu avec la loi. Vous pouvez faire en sorte que...
You can win something if, despite the law, you finish your studies and later on in life, get your own back. The battle against this illegitimate law, to change the treatment of Islam and of the headscarf by the citizens of this country, that's a long-term battle. Don't get that mixed up with the immediate battle, which is this year, with an exam at the end.
The government is claiming victory over the opponents of the ban on religious symbols, but the Muslim community is not happy. Their leaders say that veiled girls across France are abandoning their education. For now, the headmaster at Eugène Delacroix School is happy his compromise has averted expulsions. Touria and her friends know they are lucky. Theirs was one of the only schools in France to allow girls to wear the bandana. Still, the Delacroix girls say the law against veils isn't just about school. It's about life as a Muslim in France.
The history teacher, he asked why you're wearing the hijab. He didn't say bandana. If there are more and more teachers complaining, then the headmaster's going to get agitated because of this bandana thing. I don't know what's going to happen to us. I know you're fed up, Lala. You have to hang on. We're nearly at the finishing line. There's your exam at the end. Your diploma.
Touria continues to fight her corner with teachers who question her bandana.
Now that I'm wearing the bandana in school, when I come out, I can't wait to put my veil back on. My attachment to the veil has grown. It was always important, but now, even more so.
Ibtisam has learned to live with exposing her forehead and ears at school.
They'll apply this law to all jobs, so that there won't be any opportunities. We won't be able to be educated, or to work, or anything. That's how I see things.
Khadija has resigned herself to the law and is studying hard for her exams.
People who say you have to integrate, I think those are the people who perhaps don't want to accept you. Because if they're talking about integration, and they know you're there and you've always been there, why talk of integration? I think they're the ones who don't want to accept you. They don't accept difference, and when you don't accept difference, that's called intolerance.
Lala is struggling with the compromise. Her friend Fatoumata resigned from school in November. It's the end of her education. In December, the kidnapped journalists Christian Chenot and Georges Malbrunot were released unharmed and returned to France.
Have your say on tonight's show and explore a world of extra information, news stories and features by visiting our website at bbc.co.uk/thisworld.
The 70s in the dock, TV on Trial takes in a World in Action documentary from 1975, profiling Margaret Thatcher. That's over on BBC4 now.
England are one step closer to qualifying. And with 3 more points on Wednesday, nearly there. Nearly there.
England v Azerbaijan, the World Cup qualifier, tomorrow at 7:30 on BBC One and BBC Radio 5 Live.
Do you want to come with me? Backwards or forwards in